Hi guys, follow me on Instagram to never ever miss any of my crazy updates. Hi guys and welcome to another vlog. I'm driving this. This is the 2021 Jeep Compass facelift. As you can see, the design of this car looks more or less the same as before because it's a minor facelift on the outside. Oh my god, this is heavy. No hydraulic struts. Obviously you've got insulation right there. It says Jeep Turbo Diesel. Engine bay is very clean but on the smaller side as such. Anyways, you can see the changes which have been made at the front make it look sharper. Of course, it gets a 7-slat grille, which is a typical Jeep fashion. But you know what? The grille as well as Jeep is kind of finished in matte grey, no longer chrome. This is the front parking camera, but there are no front parking sensors on this car. The lights have been revised as well. Obviously, you get a projector setup. This is the LED DRL, and the fog light is kind of hidden. Now, all LED lights, of course, work really well at night. And here you see there is space for breathing, but there is no space for breathing on the grille as such. Of course, space for breathing on the bumper, and you see color treatment is nice. There's a towing hook right there. The car looks more or less the same as before. However, kind of looks sharper at the front. Now coming to the side of the Jeep Compass, you realize that it is the same as before. The wheels are new. You get the squared wheel arches, Compass written right there. The alloy wheels look really very nice. The tire size actually happens to be a 225/55/18 on this car, and there is a camera right there. So it gets 360-degree parking camera. I love how they finished the outside rear view mirrors, the pillars as well as the roof in this grey color instead of doing the conventional black or white. It actually looks very classy, very nice indeed. Meanwhile, yeah, you get a shark fin antenna which is finished in plastic as such, and there you see the treatment is really nice. You get roof rails which don't seem to be functional at all. Coming to the rear of the Compass, again it looks more or less the same as before. However, the tail lights have been revised. You see, LED treatment has been given to the car. S is the trim level. This is obviously rear fog light. Meanwhile, you get parking sensors at the rear. You also get a towing hook, of course, and 4x4 badging because it has got 4x4. There's the reverse parking camera, again finished in matte grey, which is nice. Where is the exhaust of the car? Can you see it? There is the exhaust. Yeah, no fake stuff happening here, which is actually a nice thing. There's a snake right here. Can you see the snake? Yeah, there's a snake right here. So kind of filled with Easter eggs. Don't believe me? Well, let's open the boot. Here I press a button. It's a power tailgate. There the boot opens all the way up. Now the good thing is there are a lot of Easter eggs here as well. First and foremost, this is actually to close the boot. The position of the button is kind of weird. It should be somewhere here on the top, but here you get the Jeep logo, the grille. Again, Easter egg. Here again you get that. You see the grille. This is actually the subwoofer. This comes out. Can you guys tell me what exactly is this? You've got two lights inside, and instructions to how to remove the parcel shelf and the seats. 60/40 split folding seats, of course, and the various toolkits are actually stuck by velcro to the seat back. Meanwhile, below here you get the spare wheel, which doesn't happen to be a Bridgestone tire. It happens to be a Firestone tire. So yeah, different tire makes, and the tire size of course is 225/60/17. Yeah, and the wheel is not an alloy. So yes, that is the difference. Let's actually close the boot. Press a button there, and there the boot closes. Yeah, it takes some time to actually realize that it needs to close, but then it does. You get a rear spoiler along with a stop lamp. Obviously you get a rear wiper washer as well, but I forgot to show you one interesting bit. Here you can see, yeah, there is a classic Jeep. Yeah, that is also done. So lot of Easter eggs on this car. Let's get into the rear seat. Firstly, the doors open almost 90 degrees, I kid you not. Take that, Tara Altroz. That opens wide, easy to get in and out. There's good amount of space on offer. Yeah, there's actually good amount of space on offer. You see the legroom and kneeroom is absolutely fantastic. Not scooped out seat back, but they are magazine holders. There's a USB charging socket. There's a 12-volt charging socket below as well, a power outlet. AC vents here, and of course you can close them like this. Okay, the cabin isn't wide enough. This is almost flat, but the cabin is not wide enough, so three people cannot sit in there. That's the reason Jeep hasn't given a center headrest here. Forget being adjustable. The center passenger obviously doesn't have a head, but you have got adjustable headrest right there. You get a center armrest which gets twin cup holders, and you can probably keep some small item. Now headroom is actually quite good. Here you get a hook along with a handle, along with a light as well. Yeah, you press the light, it turns on. Same is the case on that side as well. Now of course you get a massive panoramic roof. The interior is completely revised. The dashboard looks phenomenal to say the least, but the cabin is all black, so it needs airy feeling, which obviously comes courtesy of the massive panoramic roof. Quality of everything is actually quite nice. Hard plastics are plenty, but still quality levels are good. There's good amount of storage space here. This is telling you it's for a bottle, and again there you see an Easter egg, the Jeep grille. Yeah, the classic Jeep that is. So plenty of nice bits to keep you entertained whenever you find them as such. Now let's get inside. Now request sensor is on both the sides. It's on the driver side as well as on the co-driver side, and it says Jeep on the mirror as well. Now you see it says Jeep here too. Alpine sound system. So yes, audio quality is fantastic. Door pockets are big enough at the front. These are the controls for the outside rear view mirrors. These are the controls for the power window switches, and this is for memory seats. You can save up to 2 people settings, and this is for both the driver as well as the co-driver, because you get an 8-way electric adjust. Yeah, you can adjust it in 8 ways. The seats are actually very comfortable. Hi Noreen, what's up? Do you like the car? Yes, you do, right? You know the price of this car is 34.52 lakhs on road Mumbai. It's kind of on the expensive side, right?
I know where you're going.
I'm not going anywhere. My birthday is coming though.
Yeah,
so it says Jeep right here, just in case you sit in the car, you forget which car you are in. Well, it says Jeep there. The seats are actually carried over from before. You get a proper dead pedal there. These are the controls for the headlights. It gets automatic headlights. This is actually for the headlight level, and this is to increase or decrease the intensity of the displays. I love the way the subtle treatment has been done. The dashboard design looks super duper awesome. And listen to this, okay? Closes with a proper thud. Now you see the AC vents are very tastefully done on this car. Very tasteful. Very slim indeed, but nice. The glove box is actually decent sized, but doesn't get the cooling function at all. Now only the front power windows get the one touch up and down treatment. The rear ones do not. In fact, the co-driver can also lock and unlock the car. That's a nice treatment. Auto dimming inside rear view mirror. There's of course a light here. Actually, can you see the light? No. Okay, the light is not working at the moment on either of the sides. And this is actually for a paper clip. Well, that's interesting. There's a mic placement here. The driver side also gets a door handle. The seat belts get the height adjust function. Says airbag right there. It's actually very comfortable on this car. You get twin cup holders, and you know what? They are massive with rubber treatment. This is actually to put the key of the car. Yeah, they have a proper place to keep the key of the car. That's interesting. Here you can just slot it in like that. Now this slides forward. Yeah, the center armrest, and below here there is actually storage space, which is decent, not really big enough. Lot of buttons, auto hold function, 4-wheel drive low mode, this for downhill assist, and this is for 4-wheel drive lock. This is obviously for the drive modes, auto, snow, sand and mud. I will just kept it on auto right now. Electric parking brake, this is the gear lever, and there is storage space here, but this is actually the wireless charger along with 2 USB ports. One is a USB-C and one is a regular USB. These are the controls for the air conditioning. These are the controls for various aspects. This is for traction control, this is for auto stop start, this is for parking sensors. Actually the problem is it doesn't get front parking sensors, which is actually very surprising. Now, this is a new 10.1 inch screen, which is actually pretty nice and impressive to use. However, there is a problem. The problem is that it gets ventilated function for both the front seats, but you have to go into the touch to operate it. There's no dedicated button, so this is how you actually turn it off. Not very intuitive to use because you have to go and find it as such. Obviously it's a compass, so it has to have a freaking compass. It's saying you're in southwest direction. In fact, it says it here also in the tachometer. Now this is for the audio system. Let's play an audio right away. Audio quality is actually quite good, but the songs on the radio are again very sucky. Let's get into reverse. You see, it's got multiple cameras here. Obviously 360-degree camera. You can actually change the view of the camera by pressing a button right there. And there's a top view as well. Really nice, really slick the way it works. In fact, you can also zoom in to see, I don't know what, probably a leaf. Yeah, not the Nissan kind, of course. So yeah, this is a very impressive camera. A lot of buttons on the steering wheel. This is obviously for the cruise control system. This is to browse through this massively awesome instrument cluster, because it has got plenty of things to play around with. Just look at this, okay? And you can change the mode of the display the way you like it. Now, you know, on the right one I'm shifting it from kilometers per hour to miles per hour and whatnot. I love the way Jeep has actually done this thing, and you know, it gets a little confusing, but it is very impressive because it's got 7 sub menus for various aspects, like obviously trip info and off-road data as well, which is telling you if you are in full-time 4-wheel drive or in part-time 4-wheel drive, what are the road conditions and whatnot. You can see that tire pressure monitor, drive info, everything is there in this cluster. Super duper impressive. I like it. This is obviously the control for the wipers. Plenty of spray on offer. Look at the amount of spray on offer. This is actually the control for the indicators. And this screen, well, it's very slick to use. It gets Apple CarPlay, wireless Apple CarPlay by the way, Android Auto connectivity, you name it. It is phenomenal, very nicely done, super duper awesome. And this is something which I would usually never ever say about a Jeep car, but yes, the Americans are finally getting a right infotainment system, which is very nice indeed. Now the steering wheel is adjustable both for reach as well as rake. Yeah, you can adjust it for both reach as well as rake. And other interesting bits are the fact that the steering is very nice to hold. I love the way the steering is. Feels really impressive to hold. And this is the start engine stop button. You see the treatment everywhere. Now they have really focused on the design of the car. Now there are lights on the top, light placement on the top. Let's do one thing. Let's open the sun blind. So you press a button and there the sun blind opens. Now the interesting part is you can also open the tailgate from here in the center. Okay, actually I've opened the sunroof itself. Now this is a panoramic roof. It is big enough. It opens to a certain angle. You press it once again and then it opens completely. Let's open the sunblind completely. You see, it brings in a lot of airy feeling inside the cabin. That's a massive sunroof. Well, that's what she said, because yeah, a black cabin with a massive panoramic roof actually works in this car very well. Now they've also done this beautiful stitching everywhere, and of course used a lot of leather too, but soft plastics, and when you go lower down you see there are hard plastics. Mute button is given here, and when you turn on the screen every time now, no, not now, but when you turn on and off the car, we'll do one thing. Turn off the car, there you see it says Jeep, and that vanishes. When you turn on the car, it says Compass. Again, very gimmicky, and the way the dials come, that's also super duper awesome. Let's turn this on, and usually when you turn this on now, it says Jeep right there, but right now it's not showing it. When I get into reverse also now, okay, here we get into reverse. You see the reverse parking sensors are shown here on the instrument cluster, and it actually dims the other two dials. So a lot of attention to detail on this car, which is super duper impressive. The horn is okay, not that great, but what's important is how is this car to drive. So let's get going right away. Alright, we are all set to go, which means turning off the air conditioning, getting it into drive mode, getting it into sport mode for the gearbox, surround camera on, yeah, that is on, traction control off, left foot on the brake, right foot on the accelerator, changing the display to digital, revving the motor, revs till 2000 RPM. It takes around 10 seconds to go from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour, and yes, compared to the older Compass, the engine has become more refined. In fact, over the years, Jeep has really refined its engine. It doesn't feel as coarse as it used to, but now it feels super duper refined lower down the rev range, which is quite impressive. However, when you rev it past 4000 RPM, it becomes quite vocal. Now what has changed? Not much as such, because the engine is still the same 2-liter diesel unit, which is a 4-cylinder unit, which also powers a slew of other cars from non-Jeep vehicles, like of course the Tata Harrier, the Tata Safari, the MG Hector, the MG Hector Plus. It's the same engine in the same tune, which is 173 horsepower and 350 Newton meters of torque. Now that 173 horsepower actually comes in at 3750 RPM, and despite that fact, it still has a good top end. Yeah, it is grunty in the top end of the rev range. That's not all. The torque output of 350 Newton meters comes in at a rather low 1750 RPM and peaks at 2500 RPM. I mean, that is the peak torque range, 1750 to 2500 RPM. But still, it has some lag lower down, so drivability is not the best, but the mid-range is great, and the top end is also quite impressive for a diesel engine, because it redlines all the way till 5000 RPM. Now, there are no drive modes as such on offer, and although I put the gearbox in sport, it doesn't give you any manual control of things. It will not hold on to a gear. It will upshift when it reaches the red line, which is, I mean, kind of disappointing at this price range. You want some manual control of things. You also want drive modes, which of course are unfortunately missing in this car. Now, I have not told you a couple of things, that there are buttons behind here, which is the left side ones for a track and right side one for the volume, but you would want paddle shifters, but they are not there in this car. Braking performance is very, very, very impressive. Stops dead in its track without any fuss whatsoever. Turning off the stop start system, changing the view on the instrument cluster, getting to digital, left foot on the brake, right foot on the accelerator, revving the motor. There is no wheel spin at all. So actually it's upshifting at around 4500 RPM. Sometimes it can go to 5000 RPM as well. So here's the disappointing part here, that it just does not do any sort of wheel spin. You know why it doesn't do wheel spin? Simple, because it has 4-wheel drive, and because of 4-wheel drive, there's so much traction on offer. The tires also have ample grip, so it just never wheel spins in spite of a very hard launch. That means that, you know what, okay, this is the rear view camera, which works at higher speeds. The other view cameras, they only work at lower speeds, and then it shifts from rear camera to front camera. That's not the point. The point is that this is a very well sorted car in almost every way. The dynamic balance is great. The ride quality is of course on the stiffer side. It is actually quite stiffer car. At lower speeds, you can feel that stiffness, especially on bad roads. So ride quality is not the best at lower speeds. However, because of the stiffness, when you speed up, when you get going faster and harder, it beautifully flattens out and gives a very impressive ride to this car. Kind of gives you the indestructible feeling as well. However, the real fun is around the corners, because it has got great handling as well. The steering wheel is a really nice unit. It weighs up at high speeds, gives you good feel as well as feedback, and of course body roll is very well contained. This is a car which has good amount of grip on offer. It has a great ride and handling balance. In fact, fact, one of the best ride and handling balance in the SUV segment because it feels so good to drive yet has a brilliant ride quality as well. Brakes are stellar too. So in terms of the whole dynamic balance, this Jeep is very well sorted, and that's the reason they've not really tinkered with the dynamic feel of this car. They've just made changes to the aesthetic appeal because dynamically this car has always been very well sorted. In fact, it's very capable of the road as well. Yeah, that's kind of surprising. This car is extremely capable of the road as well, and that's because obviously it is a Jeep, but you know what, only 3 variants are available with 4-wheel drive, and there are 14 variants on offer, and the petrol is not available with 4-wheel drive. Petrol is only available with front-wheel drive. Yeah, that's kind of surprising. Now this happens to be the top end variant, which is priced at 34.52 lakh rupees. Meanwhile, the same trim without 4-wheel drive and without automatic. Actually, the lower trim does not get 4-wheel drive or automatic. That is available for almost 5 lakhs lesser. Yeah, so you see the price range and the price difference is quite a lot, and this variant turns out to be quite expensive, but then it gives you everything. Of course, it gives you 4-wheel drive, it also gives you automatic. This happens to be a 9-speed torque converter gearbox, which is very smooth, but unfortunately it's not very quick with shifts. So yeah, it can hesitate to give you a downshift when you need one. Now this is where you face issues because, like I was telling you, it feels stiff at lower speeds and the stiffness can be felt, but get going fast and the ride quality flattens out beautifully well on the Compass. Now let me just change the view. I love the way the whole instrument cluster has been done. Very chic, very nice, very sweet, very unique, very different as well. The horn could be better though. Onto the gas, you get into the mid-range. The thing is now it has got good amount of grunt in the mid-range, but then power delivery is very linear throughout. So unlike earlier what was the case where the Compass used to give you a kick in the pants feeling, that is completely gone. This automatic gearbox obviously does a decent job in trying to mask that turbo lag to a great extent, but if you're looking for fun to drive factor with the Jeep Compass, then probably you'll get a manual, and the manual is not available with 4-wheel drive. So then you have to make a compromise between that. However, the petrol, which happens to be a 1.4 litre unit, is a turbo unit. It kind of drinks fuel. It's available with a manual as well as, of course, a DCT gearbox. Yeah, the automatic is a DCT. Here we've got a torque converter. You also get a manual. So both petrol and diesel engine options are available with manual as well as automatic gearbox options. Ground clearance is decent, I think around 208 mm. Meanwhile, the weight of this car is almost 1800 kgs, but you can't feel that weight at all. It doesn't feel 1800 kgs heavy. It just doesn't feel. It feels light, nimble, easy and agile on its feet all the time. But I love the brakes on this car. Brakes are so good. They are so sure-footed and there's ample amount of grip as well. The fuel economy of this car is somewhere between 8 to 12 kilometers per litre, again depending on your driving style. Meanwhile, the range actually starts at 20.15 lakh rupees and goes all the way, of course, till 34.52 lakh rupees. All the prices I mentioned are obviously on road Mumbai, including all taxes, registration, RTO, whatever, and all that BS. However, for the diesel, you pay a premium of 2.5 lakh rupees, which is totally worth it because, of course, the diesel feels so much better to drive in terms of performance. Not only that, even in terms of fuel economy when compared to the petrol, which is a 1.4 litre turbo unit, but just does not feel as efficient or torquey as the diesel, which just feels better. Now, you see, directional changes are really very nice. Car kind of feels stiff. When you make that quick directional change, this car is on the stiffer side, but that's fine because that stiffness ensures that high-speed stability is fantastic. Of course, the handling balance is great. So, in terms of driving feel, the Compass is a hugely impressive car. Still the one to beat, but where does it slot in? Because yes, the pricing is on the higher side. So, and one side, or the south side of the spectrum, you've got front-wheel drive SUVs which do not have 4-wheel drive. Obviously, I just said they are front-wheel drive SUVs, so they are not technically SUVs. They are front-wheel drive UVs. Those just do not have the same capability as the Compass, no matter how many ESP modes you put in them. Period. But on the higher end, rather the north end of the spectrum, you've got real proper SUVs like the Fortuner and the Endeavour, which obviously get 4-wheel drive but are based on body-on-frame platforms. Now this is right in between. Even in terms of pricing and positioning, it's not as big as the Fortuner and the Endeavour. Size is almost similar to the lower spectrum, but here you get 4-wheel drive, humongous capability, and of course a car which runs on a monocoque platform, which makes it easier to drive as well. The only gripe I have with the Compass is that Jeep has a very small dealership network, so sales and service is something which can be a bit of a challenge depending on where you stay. But when you come to a corner, you forget all of that and more because it just tracks beautifully, really maintains its line, and then puts a massive smile on your face. This is a hugely impressive car and a very well engineered one at that as well. Maneuverability is very impressive. Just see, okay, turning in the city, taking a U-turn, no problem at all. Steering is light, easy, but thankfully weighs up beautifully well. Get into the throttle and then It gets vocal, that's the only problem. But then I like vocal cars because I think that's sporty, that's nice, that's music to my ears. That said, how can the Compass become better? I think drive mode should be offered, and certain things could have been better placed in terms of ergonomics, like the ventilated seat buttons should have been outside, not inside the touchscreen. And then of course they should also offer probably, you know, the Trailhawk version of the same, which will come probably, but then it will cost a lot more, coming even further closer to the Endeavour and the Fortuner. And of course people love the Endeavour and Fortuner because they are real SUVs in the real sense. Not that the Compass is any less, because it runs a monocoque platform but still is hugely capable off the road. And of course, yeah, the engine could be slightly better in terms of NVH levels. So guys, this is my vlog of the Jeep Compass facelift, the 2021 model. Hugely impressive, but yes, on the pricier side. If you like this vlog, make sure to give it a thumbs up, that's a like button, and also subscribe to the channel. I will see you guys in the next video real soon. Bye bye.